So let's move on to web analytics tools. And this is an important section because web analytics tools kind of the central focal point of all digital marketing. And it starts really with Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a freemium, meaning that they have a free version that you can use. There is also a paid version of Google Analytics. But given the advent of Google, its popularity, especially in the United States, a majority of users are using the free version of Google Analytics. So it's a very popular tool, especially for marketers. But there are also other tools available. So it's not just Google. So we have Adobe Analytics, which is also freemium. You have Kissmetrics. You have SpringMetrics. You have YouTube Analytics, which is part of Google, but YouTube has its own separate analytics insights. So a lot of these, as you can see, are free to use. They're available. No reason why you should not be using an analytics tool to measure your marketing campaigns or website behavior. And why would we want to use these tools again? Well, again, we want to really measure behavior. We want to measure what's going on with our website. So we want to be able to identify the location of where our website visitors are coming from. And a lot of these analytics tools use IP address to identify the location of a website visitor. So if you're trying to target a specific country, then you want to be able to see that the visitors to your website are coming from that specific country or location. We also want to measure the engagement of our website behavior. So we get traffic to the website. What are they doing? How long are they staying? What pages are they visiting? So this is the overall nature of really why we want to use web analytics, to measure how successful our website is at treating our website visitors with the same courtesy you would if you had a brick and mortar store. Somebody comes into your store, you want them to find what they're looking for quickly. You want them to be happy with their experience. You certainly want them to pay for the products very quickly and easily and efficiently. And you want them to come back. And that's no different than a website. So we want our website to perform in a manner that's going to suit our audience. And that's why we want to track engagement. So why else? Well, we want to really look at who's coming. Are they returning visitors or new visitors? You know, ideally, you want a nice mix between 50% new and 50% returning, because you know returning visitors are loyal. There's some loyalty to that. They already know your brand. They're coming back to your website. New visitors are curious, and you want new visitors because that means more traffic. So you want a nice balance between that. Analytics tools will help you measure that. You want to be able to measure organic traffic, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, but Google and other search engines are indexing your pages, and your pages are being found via the search engines. And so you want to be able to measure how much traffic you're actually generating from those search engines. We talked about this with email marketing, UTM tracking. So if you set up email campaigns or non-Google campaigns, you want to use UTM tracking. And Google Analytics and other analytics tools, but specifically Google Analytics, will help you see the results of your campaigns if they're tracked with UTM tracking. So that's another good reason why to use a web analytics tool. Probably most importantly amongst all these bullet points is our goals, our website conversions. We want to be able to see how much traffic is coming to our website, and not only the engagement of that traffic, but how much of that traffic is actually doing what we want them to do, i.e. are they converting? And we want to optimize our sites and channels performance. So the whole idea of collecting all this information is that you can turn around and improve performance. So if your bounce rate is high, well, how do you lower bounce rate? Well, we need to do something about that. And analytics tools will help us identify what's not working from our site perspective and from a channel perspective, and we can take action to improve performance. So that's the whole idea behind optimizing our site's performance. So let's jump into Google Analytics and let's take a look at everything we just talked about in those bullet points. So about improving website performance, measuring engagement, looking at our goals and conversions, measuring campaigns with UTM tracking, all those good things that we can get in a good analytics tool. So Adobe, Mixpanel, Spring Metrics, they all work in a similar fashion in that they're really measuring website behavior. And so if we're in Google Analytics, really what we're doing is we're measuring the performance of our website broken down into 4 components: audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to look into each one of these sections. So let's start with audience. And so audience in Google Analytics tells us who is coming to our website. Now, they're not going to specifically tell us, hey, Rob Sanders came to your website, but they are going to say that somebody from San Francisco, California came to the website. And these are the pages they looked at. And this is the language. And they came from this device. And they're a returning user. So they're painting a picture for you. Okay, so they're not giving you a list of names. That would not be legal, but they are providing you with a good picture of who is coming. And when I say picture, we have to paint that picture. And so if we look at, say, demographics, for example, and I go to demographics overview, here's a picture I'm painting. Well, I can see that 25 to 34-year-olds are the majority of the age group that is coming to my website. Okay, I can see on the gender side of it, I can see that 63% of my traffic, and again, this is year to date that I'm looking at, is coming to my website. So 2/3 of my traffic is female, 1/3 male. And they're between the ages of 25 and 34. So I'm painting a picture about, gender and age coming to my website. Well, I can also look at geo. So where specifically might these people be coming from? So if I go to location under geo, I'm going to be able to see a breakdown of country, or I can even hone it down to city or specific location. And here I can see United States is the primary driver, but not by much. So we have 16, almost 17% from the US, and then 16% from Argentina, 13% from Mexico, 10% from India. So we have a nice mix of traffic from different locations in the world coming to our website. So that's geo. But more importantly, let's take a look at mobile. So if we go to mobile overview, how are people coming to our website? Are they on a desktop or a laptop? Are they using their mobile device? Are they using a tablet? And so Google Analytics breaks it down very nice for you. And so we could see percentages and actual numbers by device category. And so in this case, I could see year to date, I could see 62% are coming from desktop, 35% are coming from mobile. And so that's important because most people start their journey from mobile, and that is growing, and that's going to continue to grow. So you want to keep an eye on mobile. So to me, this is one of the more important reports under audience because people who come from mobile have a different, not only experience, because the website should be responsive to the mobile device, but their mindset is going to be different. They're actively looking for something. They're probably going to either then follow up on their desktop or follow up in person at your store. Or they're probably looking for directions, or they may just call you. So the experience is a lot different on mobile. So we want to hone in on the growth of mobile. Okay, so to me, this is one of the more important reports in Google Analytics, especially under audience. So let's move on to acquisition. So acquisition reporting tells us how the traffic was driven to the website. So if audience tells us who is coming to the website, acquisition tells us how that traffic got to the website. And so really what you want to do is get a sense of what channels, what marketing channels are driving traffic. So remember we talked about organic search. Well, those search engines are indexing your pages. Well, how much of that traffic from the search engines is actually coming to your site? And I'm a believer in if organic search is the primary driver of traffic, then you have a pretty healthy website, because that means the search engines are indexing your pages. People are searching for something related to your business. You're being found, you're getting clicked, and that represents a majority of the traffic. So that's always a good thing. So here we could see it broken down by channel. If I go to all traffic channels report, I can see in my dimension that organic search represents 72% of my traffic, and this is year to date. Then I can see paid search, then I can see direct, which means somebody went directly to the site. I can see referral, email, social, then I can see more paid search broken out. So these are the different marketing channels. Now, analytics allows you to look at a specific source and medium. So the source would be the actual website or search engine, and the medium would differentiate how that traffic actually got to the site. So if we're talking about a search engine, did they come to the site via paid search or did they come to the site via organic search? And so all we need to do is change our primary dimension from default channel grouping to source and medium, and we can see specifically the breakout of the different sources and mediums driving traffic to the site. So here I can see Google Organic at 71%, and then Google CPC or cost per click at 16% of our traffic. So then I can look down, I can see email in here, Bing Organic, I could see some referring sites, I could see some social in terms of mobile Facebook. Okay, so we could see a mix of the different sources and mediums driving traffic to the site. Okay, so you don't always have to look at channel per se. You can look at it via source and medium. And if you're running Google Ads, under acquisition, analytics has a whole section of Google Ads reporting. So if you're running campaigns on Google Ads, remember we looked at the keyword planner in Google Ads. So if you're running campaigns on Google Ads, you can certainly see the performance of those campaigns just by clicking on campaigns. We can also see campaigns, other campaigns that we're running. So remember that UTM tracking that we set up for email. Well, we want to be able to track the performance of email and any other non-Google campaign with UTM tracking. So when we do that, we'll be able to go to campaigns, all campaigns, and we'll be able to see the campaign performance. If we look at source and medium, we'll be able to see what campaigns drove traffic to the website. So here I can see vertical response email as a driver of traffic. So that's the campaign reporting. And then also if you have Search Console. So we looked at Search Console earlier when we talked about SEO tools. Well, remember I said you can link up Search Console with Google Analytics. Well, here's Search Console, and we could see queries, devices, landing pages, countries. So all the performance metrics that we could see in Search Console, because we have it linked up with Analytics, we could see it right here. So this gives us a nice snapshot of what keywords are driving traffic to the site organically. I could see the impressions, I could see the clicks, then I could see the click-through rate, and then the average position. So in theory, the higher something ranks, the more traffic you're going to get. So that's the idea behind it. We want to make sure that we're ranking for our coveted keywords. And if we are, we want to be able to measure how many times our listing was seen and how many times it was clicked. So that's the great thing about Google. They have a family of products, and those products tend to talk to one another. In the form of Google Search Console and Google Ads, you can connect them directly to Google Analytics. So let's move from acquisition to behavior. So here in behavior, we have a number of different reports. So behavior tells us once the traffic actually arrived at the website, how are they behaving? And so really what I would do is from there go to site content all pages. And so this gives us an idea of how many pages were actually viewed. So site content all pages tells us what page and how many times it was viewed during a period of time. And again, we're looking at year to date. So I can see engagement related metrics associated with a page. So this particular page here on line 1, I could see how many page views, unique page views, which is equal to sessions. So I could have a session come to the website and look at a page multiple times in that session. I could see the average time the person has spent on a page, and I can also see the bounce rate. So a bounce rate indicates that they arrived on the page and didn't go any further. They left the website from that page that they arrived on. And so I can also see percentage of exits, meaning what page did people exit the site from. So these are all engagement related metrics. So here is where I want to react and optimize my website performance. So if I see a page not performing well, meaning it has a high bounce rate or maybe low time on page, then I'm probably going to optimize it, meaning test it or change it to improve performance. So these are all pages, but I could certainly look at landing pages. Okay, so landing pages tells us the behavior of the page when somebody landed on it. So a landing page means that somebody came from organic search or paid search or another channel, landed on this page. So here I could see this particular page on line 1 had 4,970 sessions. Okay, and I can also see the performance of that page. So measuring engagements against pages is definitely important because page isn't performing in terms of bounce rate or time on page, then we want to be able to make changes to that page to improve performance. Okay, there are some other great reports under behavior. So we want to go to site speed. We want to look at how fast or how slow our pages load. So this is important from an SEO perspective, because if a page isn't loading very fast, then chances of it getting ranked in Google are not very good. So Google's organic search basically takes page load time seriously. So if a page doesn't load very fast, then we need to be able to fix it. So we can go to page timings. I can get a good sense of the average page load time of a particular page. And what Google does here is under speed suggestions, they actually will give me some ideas and speed suggestions on how to address a page that's loading very slow. And so when we load up the speed suggestions report, what Google does is say, hey, we know that this page is loading very slow. The average page load time is 15 seconds. Here's some suggestions. We're going to give you 7 suggestions. So if you click on that, what's actually going to happen is you're going to go to another tool called PageSpeed Insights. And PageSpeed Insights is analyzing the page, as you can see here. And when it's done analyzing the page, it's going to give you some feedback on how to improve page load performance, not only for desktop, but for mobile. So here I can see, if I scroll down, this is desktop, and these are some of the opportunities that I can address when trying to improve the page load time of that particular page. So here I could see there's some server response time issues. Image sizes probably need to be resized. I can remove unused CSS. Okay, so there are a lot of different things I can do to improve the page load time on this particular page. Okay, this is for desktop. I can also see mobile. So mobile, a lot of the same issues. So if we address these opportunities, then we could see a lift in page load time. We see a lift in page load time. We're going to probably see a lift in organic rankings or even user engagement. Because if a page takes a long time to load, a user's probably not going to stay on that page very long. So to me, site speed is an important report under behavior. Now, one more report here that I want to point out under behavior is events. And to me, events are important. So if you're trying to measure engagement on your website, you need to make sure you have event tracking set up. And when we talk about event tracking, we're talking about measuring things that analytics doesn't measure by default. So if you have a button on your website, if you have a PDF download, if you have a submit button on a form submission, if you have a subscribe button, if you have a video, if you have an external link, anything that is going to trigger engagement on your website, you need to measure with event tracking. And event tracking is simply set up by breaking out the event into a category, an action, and a label. And so here we could see for our particular website, we have categories already set up for event tracking. So here, for example, I can see on line 6, video. I can see how many people actually watched our video. Okay, so here's the action, video start. Okay, so over this period of time, I could see I had 49 unique events, 50 total. So that's how many people actually watched the video. And you can always revert to label, and that'll tell you what page people watched, in this case, the video. So event tracking is important because we want to be able to measure engagement. So if you go to events under behavior and you don't see any events listed, you probably need to get that set up, and that is set up through Google Tag Manager. So what you want to do is you want to be able to set up your events through Google Tag Manager, which is another Google platform, but you certainly want to do that. So that's where you set up your events. When you set up your events for your website with a category, an action, and label, you'll be able to measure those events in analytics under behavior, under events. And the important thing here is you'll be able to measure engagement. So I'll be able to see how many people came to the site and how many people clicked on a button, downloaded a PDF, submitted a form, played a video, did whatever we wanted them to do. So events are important. So let's move from behavior to conversions. And this is important because we want to be able to measure conversions on a website. So analytics has 4 types of conversions. So if I go to admin down at the bottom, and then I go to goals, I could see that I have 4 different types of goals that I can use. Now, right now, I have event-related goals set up for the website, for this particular website. So we just talked about event tracking. So if you're measuring a button click on your website, you can certainly turn that into a goal. And so all you need to do is tell analytics, hey, this is the particular category, this is the particular action. So for example, if I click on this particular goal and take a look at it, I can see that we have a category set up that anything that resembles donate now, okay, or donate, go ahead and fire this event as a conversion. Okay, so event is one type of goal. Another type of goal is destination. So if somebody goes to a specific page, like a confirmation page, we can turn that into a goal. So here I could see if somebody goes to donation-confirmation, then analytics is going to fire that goal as a conversion. And we're going to see a conversion against a different metric or different dimension, like channel or audience. Okay, so destination is the second type of goal. The third type of goal is duration. So how long did somebody stay on my website? So in this example, if they stayed at least 1 minute and 30 seconds or more, then analytics is going to count that as a goal conversion. Okay, so duration is the third type, and then the fourth type is pages per session. Okay, so if I look at this example here, if a user came to my website and looked at more than 3 pages in that particular session, then analytics is going to fire a goal conversion. So 4 types of goals. You don't have to set up all 4 different types. My recommendation is at least have 1 goal set up. If you're not sure what goal to set up, then at least set up a duration or pages per session. Okay, so at least you can measure how long somebody stays on your website or how many pages they went to. Okay, so when you actually do have these goals set up, you can go back into conversions, we can go back into goals, we can go back into overview, and we can measure our goal completions over this period of time. So here I could see 313 goal completions total with a goal conversion rate of 1.88%. And then I could see it broken down by goal type. So remember, the only goals I have available and set up are event-related goals. So 69 newsletter signups, 156 donate click buttons, I have 32 contact form submissions, 37 email click completions, and then 11 phone number click completions. So I can measure engagement as a goal. And so goals generally are important to the business. So you want to make sure that if you have a goal for your website, then you want to be able to set that up as a goal in Google Analytics. So that way, when you're looking at example channels, if I go back to my channels report, I can then measure channel by goal conversion. So these are all goals, but if I want to look at, for example, how many people from organic search clicked on the Donate Now button, I could see that. I could see year to date 10,887 users, which meant 11,000 sessions. 76 clicked on that Donate Now button. And that comes out to 0.65% conversion rate. Okay, so that's important. So you want to be able to measure any dimension, whether that be channel, source medium, keyword, campaign, mobile device, could be demographic, gender, or age. You want to be able to measure any dimension against the goals you have set up so you can measure performance. And that also includes pages or landing pages as well. So that's a quick overview of what you can expect to see in Google Analytics. Again, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. So there are a lot of data in Google Analytics, but you want to be able to take advantage of the data in order to improve website performance. Now let's jump over to YouTube Analytics, because if you have videos on YouTube, if you have a channel set up, some playlist, you'll be able to get some really good insights as to how your video is performing. And so here I could see I'm in YouTube. All I did was I went to my account, then I went to the studio version of YouTube, and then from there I went to Analytics. So my account, YouTube Studio, Analytics. And Analytics here is going to give me all sorts of information about my videos. Okay, so here I could see over the last 28 days, my videos produced over 8,600 views. My watch time in minutes totaled over 17,000. And I've netted 48 subscribers. And this is an overall, okay, so I can actually see when I publish videos, and I can see the date they were published. And here I'm looking at, total views over this particular date range. I can also see specifics on a particular video. So I could see the top video in terms of minutes. Here I could see this particular video had 602 minutes over the last 28 days. So here I could see views on a particular video. So this is just an overview. I could certainly look at some other information. If I click on reach viewers, I could see the total impressions. So how many times my video was viewed or how many people looked at it. Okay, and then the click-through rate. So here I could see the different traffic sources. So 29% came externally. Okay, here I could see 25% came within YouTube itself. I could see how many times a video was viewed and played via playlist, via suggested videos. So I could see different ways in which the traffic found my video and actually watched it. Here I could see externally how people were able to find my videos. And I could see 46% found it via Google search. I could see lots of information here about sources of traffic, how the traffic got to these videos. So I could see then once the traffic found my videos, how many times they actually saw it and viewed it and then watched it. So that's how many times I was able to reach viewers via different sources and then their reaction to that, how many times they saw it and watched it. Here I can click on interest viewers. So again, I could see the top videos in terms of watch time. I could see the top playlist. So here I could see my partners playlist was the top playlist. So I can see some interest here in terms of average view duration. And then here we have build an audience. So we can look at specific audiences if we have them built in YouTube to see how many people actually watch my videos. So here I can see 88% of the people who watched my videos over the last 28 days were not even subscribed. So that tells me a lot of people are finding my videos, spending some time watching them, but they're not subscribed. So we're trying to get them to subscribe to our channel so they can watch more. So a lot of information here in YouTube itself about how our videos performed. Again, this is good insight because ideally what you want to do is you really want to take a look at a specific video, see how it's performing. So if I just click on one particular video, I can actually see the audience retention over the course of the video itself. I could see the ways in which people found the video. Okay, again, externally or via YouTube search. I could see how many people liked it or disliked it. I could see all sorts of information on a particular video itself or an overview of my channel. So that's all available to you in YouTube Analytics under YouTube Studio. So take advantage of that. So if you're publishing videos on a regular basis, you want to hone in on how your videos are performing. So if you have any additional questions about YouTube Analytics or YouTube in general, take a look at our video that we created earlier this year about how to create a YouTube channel. We go into some in-depth insights into YouTube itself, especially YouTube Analytics. So take a look at that video. And if you have any other insights about YouTube Analytics or analytics in general, go ahead and put a comment below this video. So let's turn our attention to competitor spying tools. Very important to keep tabs on what the competition's doing, and there are a lot of tools out there. So when it comes to social, we can use a freemium tool like Sprout Social to listen in on our competitors. We can use another freemium tool, Social Blade. There's a popular tool out there called SpyFu. That's freemium as well. Moz, we looked at Moz earlier for keyword and organic. Moz is a great tool for also leveraging our competitors in terms of backlinks. And BuzzSumo, so that's another freemium tool. Again, there are lots of tools out there. These are just examples of some of the tools that we use here at Simplilearn. I use personally and professionally to get a sense of what our competition's doing. So why would we want to use a competitor spying tool? Well, it may sound like a very straightforward question, but there are lots of reasons why. And so let's look at some of these reasons. And the first reason is we really want to identify, our competitors' backlinks and monitor changes in their ranking. So the reason why we have this as the top bullet point is because SEO, organic search, is a long-term strategy. On-page, off-page, website, very technical and creative. There's a lot going on with SEO, a lot going on. And sometimes it takes a long time to rank for something. And a lot of SEO does depend on relevancy, relevancy being how many quality backlinks are linked to you. So it's always good to leverage what your competitors are doing so you can see how you stack up. And so that's why this is up there as number one. We want to be able to really take a look at what our competitors are doing. Another example would be, hey, how much traffic a competitor is gaining on certain keywords. This could go either way. For paid search, organic search, what are competitors bidding on? Are they really getting traffic from those keywords? So there are tools out there that help us leverage what our competition's doing. Okay, we can also identify our competitors' top performing content for relevant topics. Okay, we can determine what our competitors' website referral traffic is. Okay, we can pull our competitors' data and compare it with our own campaigns. So lots of tools out there to help you do this. And we may want to track the total amount of clicks a competitor receives and how much they pay for each keyword. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few examples how we can leverage all these bullet points that we just discussed. And so we're going to start out with Sprout Social. And Sprout Social is a tool I use. It's a social media platform. There's a lot of things you can do with Sprout Social. Definitely generate reports for your social media platforms. You could set up posts that get published at a certain time and day. But there's also one particular tool in here called listening. And so what we could do is we just put in, for example, RV rentals in Twitter. So what we're doing is we're actually listening to see who else is tweeting about RV rentals. So we could do this for Twitter, we could do it Facebook, some other social media platforms. The whole idea here on Sprout Social is to get a sense of what our competitors are doing. So we could have easily put in a brand name. We're just going general here because we want to rank for the keyword RV rentals. And so here we could take a look at, what some of these particular brands are doing, like Go RV Rentals, Cruise America RV. We could see, just scroll down, and we can get a sense of, in particular, what people are tweeting about, what other companies are tweeting when it comes to this particular keyword, RV rentals. Now, if I want to hone in on a particular competitor, I could just really refine my search for that competitor's brand name, so RV Share. So here I can take a look at, what they're doing when they're posting or tweeting, how long ago, the time of day, get an idea of what they're actually saying, what campaigns they're promoting. Okay, I can get a sense of everything about this tweet. And so here I can scroll down and I can see what's been shared by other people for this particular brand. And I can see a lot of people are, as an example, retweeting this particular giveaway. And so to me, it just gives me a sense in this particular example on Twitter as to what our competitors doing. Okay, let's turn our attention to SEO. So remember that first bullet point, we want to get a sense of what our competitors are doing when it comes to backlinks. And so Moz has a great tool called Link Explorer. And Link Explorer there allows us to actually compare link profiles. So for my domain, I can go ahead and put my competitors' domains in there and definitely get a sense of how many links my competitors have, external, internal. I can get a sense of the domain authority. I can get a sense of page authority, linking domains. So I can really do a comparison across my domain and my competitors' domains to get a snapshot of how I compare against my competitors. So this gives me an overview of everything I need to know organically. Now Moz also has another great tool under Link Explorer called Link Intersect. And I like Link Intersect. I use it a lot because if our competitors really have a number of external links and domains pointing to their site, and they have a better domain authority and page authority, then I want to be able to, see what they're doing, where they're linking, who's linking to them. I want to be able to get a snapshot of why is their domain so much better than ours in terms of authority. And so the Link Intersect actually allows me to do that. So I can go ahead and put my competitors' domains in there, and then I can find opportunities. And so you just click on opportunities and you can see where my site intersects with their site. And if it doesn't actually intersect, then I have an opportunity to actually try and get a link on that particular site. So that's what the Link Intersect report does. It allows me to see where my links intersect with my competitors. And if it doesn't intersect, then I have an opportunity to generate a backlink. So that's ideally what the Link Intersect tool is. In Moz, it allows me to really get a sense of where I'm linking and where my competitors are linking. Now, what we can also do is also take advantage of another report under Moz's Link Explorer and the Discovered and Lost report. So we could put in our domain, or we could put even our competitor's domain in there. And we can get a sense of what domains were found and linked to them. So really within Moz, we can get a good snapshot of what websites are linking to our competitors. We get a good snapshot of the overall links to our competitor sites, and specifically what sites. So the whole idea is if it's good for our competitors, meaning they're linking from a site that has a good domain authority and low spam score, then it's probably a site I want to be able to tackle as well. Okay, so you have Discovered and Lost. Okay, you have comparing link profiles, and you have Link Intersect. So those are three good reports you can leverage right in Moz's Link Explorer tool. Now there's one more report we can leverage in Moz, and that's the inbound links report. And so we can go ahead and type in our competitor's domain here. And again, we can get a snapshot of what their domain authority is, page authority for the home page. But really, this is what we're after, linking domains. So this particular domain has over 9,000 linking domains. So what we can do is actually go through and see, based on domain authority, I could sort by domain authority where these pages are being linked from. And so here I can see Reddit. So a lot of Reddit here, which is a good site for backlinking, New York Times. So, there's a lot of different sites here, Washington Post. So I can get a good snapshot of my competitor by seeing every link that's pointing to them. Now, of course, I don't want to go through 9,000 links. I can really just hone in on a specific link source or link type or link state. So I can really filter it if I wanted to. I can export the report and do some further analysis. But really the whole idea here is I could see what URL is linking to this particular competitor site, what the anchor text is, what the page and domain authority is. So this gives me a really good insight on all the backlinking that my competitor has. And again, if I'm trying to catch my competitor, it's probably not a bad idea to look at what they're doing and even copy what they're doing in terms of backlinking. So if we're not on Reddit, then we probably need to be on Reddit, because if that's where our competitor is and they're getting good link juice from Reddit, which has a domain authority of 90, then hey, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, so they say. So inbound links is just another good report you can leverage in Moz under the Link Explorer reporting tool. Now, if I want to get a good snapshot as to what my competitor's doing on search exactly, well, look no further than SpyFu. So SpyFu is another tool that you can leverage from a PPC SEO perspective. You know, from an SEO perspective, you got some backlinking data as well, just like you did in Moz. From a PPC perspective, you can get some good keyword insights. And so here, I just went ahead and typed in the domain. And what this is going to do is just give me an overall snapshot for my competitor's domain. So here, I could see, you know, how many organic keywords they're found for, the estimated monthly SEO clicks they're getting based on the volume of those keywords. Okay, I could see here the keywords their top competitors also rank for, the rank history, 12 years. So this particular domain's been around a long time. Okay, so that's on the organic side. I can flip over to the paid side, and I could see that they are doing paid search. I could see 5,000 plus keywords they're bidding on. Okay, based on that, what they're actually paying. And then I could see, you know, some of the other competitors listed here from a paid perspective and an organic perspective. I could see the shared keyword overlap. Okay, now again, you can pay for this because it's freemium and get some really good insights as to how your domain compares to your competitors. So I'm using the free version, and here the free version, SpyFu is just giving me some overall data on the specific domain I entered in. And so I entered in my competitors. You can certainly enter in your own domain to get a sense of organic keywords and paid keywords. So you can see top keywords, top paid keywords. Okay, this is Google Ads. Okay, so this is what recommendations as to what to purchase. Okay, here you could see some Google Ads history. I could see exactly what ad copy my competitor actually wrote and for what keyword. And then I could see some organic ranking history here as I keep scrolling down this overview report. So I can see for RV Rent where they rank, and then I can see inbound links just like I did in Moz. SpyFu is providing me with some insight as to, hey, what links are pointing to them and what the domain strength is and how many clicks they expect to receive. So this is all free data. Take it or leave it, but it's all free data available to you under SpyFu. So SpyFu gives you kind of an overview for free, some really in-depth analysis if you actually pay for it, and it just really hones in on what your competitors are bidding for paid-wise and what they're ranking for organic-wise. And so SpyFu is a really good tool to leverage if you just want to get a snapshot of how your competitor overlaps with you. So let's turn our attention to Google Analytics, because in Google Analytics, under Audience, I can go to benchmarking, and basically the benchmarking reports allows me to see what the industry as a whole is doing compared to my own website. Now, the caveat here on this particular report is that it's all anonymous data, so I can't exactly see what competitor is doing what in this report, but if I hone in on my industry, in this case autos and vehicles, and I hone in on a specific country or adjust the size of the daily sessions that I get, then I can see, hey, analytics in this case, in this example, is sharing 8,863 web properties. Okay, so they're sharing the data for over 8,000 web properties, and I can compare those web properties against my own. So if we're all in the same industry, it gives me a sense sense here as to how I stack up against the industry as a whole, in this case, as it pertains to channels. So you can see here, red not good, green is good. So in the industry, we're not doing as good as others in the same industry who are receiving the same amount of sessions. Now, we could certainly adjust, and we can adjust our locale. And if we do that, Google's going to be able to adjust how many web properties are actually contributing to the report. And so when analytics makes that adjustment, we're going to be able to see, in this case, just New Zealand. So we're going to adjust for New Zealand, and we're going to go with a 4,999. And so we could see there are about 300 something web properties contributing, 47 web properties now contributing to this report. So if we're focused on the New Zealand region, and this is the amount of traffic we get, we're now comparing us against 47 other anonymous web properties. So now if I go back to the report after I've honed in, I'm looking at channels, and I could see how many sessions we're getting by channels and how I compare against the competition. I can also measure up against percentage of new sessions, new users, pages per session, average session duration, bounce rate. But that's just channels. I can also do location and devices. So the whole idea behind this report is, yes, you're not honing in on a particular competitor, but you're honing in on your industry. So you're getting a good idea as to how you compare against your industry just by making some adjustments in the benchmarking report. You obviously want to make sure you're looking at the same industry, adjust for your country or region, adjust for the site size, meaning how many sessions you actually get on a daily basis, and then analytics will do the rest. They'll compare you against those in your industry. And so I find this to be a good tool because it allows me to stack up our site against those in the industry. And obviously, if we're not driving as many sessions, especially say from organic, then we have our work cut out for us. Okay, so that's the whole idea behind the benchmarking report. Now, if you want to get some good insight as to what the competitors are doing and you don't want to use a tool, well, look no farther. You can always go to google.com. Okay, so this is how we used to do it back in the day before all these tools became available. You just typed in a keyword, and we're going to type in RV rentals, and now we're going to be able to see who's bidding on that keyword. So we could see we have a number of different companies bidding on the keyword we're interested in. Okay, here I can see some featured snippets. Okay, and then I could see some organic search results. Okay, if I scroll down, I'll be able to see some other companies bidding on that same keyword, meaning they're paying for RV rentals. So if I clicked on somebody's link here, they're actually going to pay Google for the click. And so this just gives me a good sense of how many people are actually trying to rank for this keyword or trying to be found for this keyword. So that's all I did. I just did a search. Now, from an organic perspective, if you really want to hone in on your competition, you can always do the syntax all in title, colon, and then hit enter. So now I could see I have 163,000 results. And what does that tell me? That tells me that I have 163,000 websites with RV rentals in the title tag. So if you're trying to optimize for the keyword RV rentals as an example, then you know that you have 163,000 different listings ahead of you that you need to jump over in order to rank for the keyword RV rentals. So using the all in title syntax and the keyword right after that actually just gives you a more accurate picture of how many sites are actually ahead of you for a particular keyword. So that's the whole idea. So if I get rid of the syntax, and you can see for RV rentals I have 132 million, but that's not really accurate because not all these listings have the keyword RV rentals in the title tag. And title tag, if you're working on organic search, is one of the key important factors for ranking. So you need to have that keyword in the title tag. So that's the whole idea behind using the all in title syntax. It gives us a good idea as to what our competition's doing and how many sites we have to jump over. to get to number one on Google. Now, if you're running Google Ads, just as we did with RV rentals, we went out there and we typed that in as a query and we saw how many advertisers there were for RV rentals. Now, if we are running our own campaigns, Google Ads actually has a good report that I really like. It's called Auction Insights. And so you can get to Auction Insights just by clicking on Campaigns, and then from Campaigns, click on Auction Insights. And what Auction Insights allows us to see is what competitors or domains are bidding on the same keywords we are. And so what Google does here is it allows us to actually see where we stack up against our competition for all the keywords we're bidding on. And so here I'm looking at year to date, and here we can see us and I can see our competitors. Okay, so I could see impression share. So if we're talking about one keyword, every keyword has 100% impression share. How much of that impression share are you getting? And when we say impression share, meaning eyeballs. When we talk about eyeballs, are we getting a majority of the eyeballs, or are competitors getting a majority of the eyeballs? So we can see our average position. I can see how often I overlap with my competitors. Okay, I could see how often I'm above a particular competitor. I could see what percentage I'm at the top of the page versus my competitors, the absolute top of page rate, and then I can see how often I outrank my competitors, and vice versa, how often my competitors outrank me. So I can see all this good insight as to what competitors are bidding on the same keywords I am. Okay, so this is if you're running Google Ads. Okay, so if you're running Google Ads, okay, you can just click on the Auction Insights report. You can find that at the top navigation just by clicking on campaigns. And by doing so, you'll be able to gain some insights as to where you stack up from a paid search perspective against your competitors. So let's turn our attention to paid marketing tools. So if you're doing some advertising on Google, Bing, LinkedIn, you probably want to work within those platforms as the tool of choice. So, if you're doing paid search on, say, googlesearch.com or display, you could be doing display advertising on, a network like AdRoll or Google, or you could be doing social media paid ads, say on Facebook. So whatever it is you're doing, you probably want to work within that platform itself to get the ideal data that you need. Okay, so here are some of the tools, some of the places you can go. Of course, if you work in Google Ads, you also have Google Ads Editor that you can leverage. Okay, and I'll show you that in a couple minutes. You have Google Ads Keyword Planner. Of course, both of these are paid if you're running campaigns. Okay, so Bing, if you're running campaigns on Bing, okay, you get all this good data that you can digest through some reporting. Okay, you also have some third-party tools out there that you also have to pay for in WordStream. Okay, so WordStream's a third-party tool that you can leverage. Bing and Google are actual advertising networks, so you would advertise on the platform itself and get all the data you need right in the platform and leverage a lot of the tools that they have available in the platform. As I mentioned, you could also use Google Ads Editor. So Bing also has their own editor as well. And as well as Facebook. So you can use an editor type version, and I'll show you that here in a couple minutes. But let's talk about why we want to use the tools in the platform itself. Well, we want to be able to monitor how our ad's performing. So which ad receives the most traffic, as an example. We want to identify keywords that are performing for us. Okay, so are keywords converting, not converting? Are they costing us a lot of money and not netting a high enough return for us? So we want to keep an eye on that. Okay, so we want to monitor our cost, okay, across different locations and devices. Not only cost, but we want to also monitor how our ads are performing across different locations and devices, keywords across different locations and devices. So we want to be able to measure by device. Okay, so we also want to analyze competitors' data. And as we showed you in the competitors section, Google, as an example, has Auction Insights reporting. Analytics has benchmarking. So Google itself does provide some information in the case of Auction Insights as to how your competitors are performing against you on Google search. So that's on the paid search side. Then you have display. Okay, so display advertisements. Okay, you're across a different network. So there are different types of networks out there. For example, AdRoll. Okay, you have Criteo. Celtra is another paid version of, or paid tool you can use, and WideOrbit. So these are some of the paid marketing tools you can leverage. Of course, I like to stay, if I'm advertising on Google, I like to stay in Google Ads and measure my display performance that way. But if you're on AdRoll, for example, then you want to leverage AdRoll's reporting platform and some of the tools they have to offer. So if we look at display, why do we want to leverage some of these tools? Well, just like search, for example, where we want to look at keyword and ad performance, same kind of concept here. We want to be able to monitor whether we have the right keywords and right customer engagement. So when it comes to display, we want to be able to make sure we're choosing the right audience. Of course, that means looking at not only audience insights, but our target insights as well. Are we reaching the right audience when it comes to display? And Google has a good breakdown that I'm going to be able to show you here in a couple of minutes. Okay, so we want to improve our campaigns by monitoring our competitors' display ads as well. So there are tools available that'll help you do that. And that's on the display side. And if we look at social, okay, what tools can we use on social? Well, you got Facebook Ads Manager, okay, you got Ad Espresso, Quaya, Tweepy, you got all these cool paid search tools. Again, I usually stick with where I'm advertising. So if I'm advertising on LinkedIn or Twitter, I'm going to leverage that platform. But just know that there are other tools available for you. So with social, like display, it's all about targeting our audience. So for some of the tools like on Facebook, we can review and relaunch our ad campaigns based on target audience. We can measure conversions and gain insights, in this example, about Facebook users. How are our users interacting with our ads? And then we want to target people based on their activities, such as purchase intent, device usage, travel preferences, etc. So social allows us to do that. And then with Facebook as an example, we can monitor any A/B test we run. For example, if we're running call to action test, we can measure the results of that right in Facebook. And I'm going to show you an example of that here shortly. So let's jump right into Google Ads and look at some tools available to us from the search side of the house. So if we're running search campaigns, right in Google Ads, we could see campaign data, we could see keyword data, we could see ad data. So for example, if I want to see what ads are performing, I'm just going to click on my ads and extensions. Okay, and here are my ads. And now I could see what ads are performing in terms of clicks, click-through rates, etc. And so that way I can go ahead and pause ads, activate ads. So that's right here in the Google Ads platform itself. Now, if I want to look at specific keywords, I can do that. So I can see what keywords are driving traffic and clicks. Here I could just sort by clicks. And now I could see not only what keywords are driving clicks, I could see what the click-through rate is. I could see the impressions, how many people actually viewed my ad after typing in a keyword query that I'm bidding on. I could see how much I've paid by keyword. And more importantly, I want to be able to see conversions or conversion rate. And then with Google Ads, you have quality score. So we want to be able to measure quality score. So this is Google Ads keyword reporting. And so the great thing about the keyword reporting is that there's some other features available to me here. So here I can add negative keywords, okay, just by clicking on negative keywords. I can also see a search terms report. And so when it comes to search terms, I can actually see what specific keywords people typed in. And based on the keyword that somebody typed in as a query, I can see what match type triggered that particular ad. And so if I see a keyword query that I don't particularly care to be shown for, or want my ad shown for, then I can go ahead and just select it, and I can add it as a negative keyword. Okay, so that tool is available to you right in Google Ads. Okay, and then you have the auction insights. So we reviewed the auction insights when we're looking at competitive analysis. And so here, if we look at the auction insights, we'll be able to adjust our date range, and we'll be able to see basically, who else is bidding on the keywords and what their impression share is, what their average position is, what their overlap rate is, position above rate, top of page, absolute top of page rate, not ranking share. So once Google has data, then they'll be able to share that information with you. Okay, so that's just keywords, but there's a cool tool that I really like, and I leverage it for SEO and pay-per-click, and that's Google's Keyword Planner. So if you click on Tools, and then you can click on Keyword Planner, we'll be able to leverage the Keyword Planner. And the whole idea behind the Keyword Planner is, do we want to discover new keywords? Or for the keywords we have selected, we can get volume and forecast on that. So here, let's type in a keyword, mail delivery. And if I click get started, okay, so Google's going to give me some other keyword ideas, and they're going to give me what the average monthly searches are for that keyword. They're going to let me know the competition. They're going to give me a range in terms of how much I can expect to pay for that keyword. So if I happen to click on that keyword, I can add it to a plan. And then once I've added to a plan, then I can go ahead and look at that plan and measure what kind of volume I'm going to get and how much I can expect to pay. So now once I've added my keyword to that plan, I can go ahead and see how many clicks and impressions and costs and click-through rate and average cost per click I can expect to spend. So, and this is based on a maximum CPC of $2. So I can go ahead and adjust my plan accordingly if I want to, in order to see basically how much I can expect to spend. So that's the whole idea behind the Keyword Planner in terms of choosing new keywords. And once you choose keywords you're interested in bidding on, you can actually do a forecast to see exactly how much you can expect to spend, how many clicks, how many impressions you can expect to get, and if you have conversions set up, how many conversions you can expect to receive. So that's all part of Google's keyword plan. That's viewing, forecast, as well as choosing keywords. So there are so many different tools and features within Google Ads. We need a whole segment just on this. So really, I'm just going to highlight some of the more important tools and features. So I mentioned the Keyword Planner. I mentioned the campaigns, keywords, and ads reports. Another thing I would look at in Google Ads, again, we mentioned this as one of our key defining why would we use it bullet point, and that's because of devices. So we mentioned devices. Why would we use Google Ads reporting tool? Because we want to look at devices. And we want to be able to see what devices are driving traffic from what campaign. And then the cool thing about Google Ads is right in Google Ads platform, you can go ahead and do a bid adjustment. So if I increase my bid adjustment, for example, on mobile phones, then my particular ad in this particular campaign is going to show more than on computer. So I can always decrease it. For example, do a bid adjustment on computer, and that means I'm going to show my ads less. So I can go ahead and do bid adjustments based on device. That's the cool thing of working right in Google Ads platform, is you can make adjustments right here in the platform based on devices. Well, you also have locations too. So we mentioned that as one of the reasons why we want to use some of these tools. And if I see a particular location I'm not interested in advertising, well, I can always select it and I can always just pause it or remove it. So, or I can change the bid adjustment on a location as well. So I can make a lot of different changes right in the Google Ads platform. For those seasoned in search advertising, paid search advertising, especially on Google Ads, you can always use Google Ads Editor. All you need to do is just do a search for Google Ads Editor. You can download it. So basically what Google Ads Editor is, it's a tool, it's a software that you work with your campaigns on locally. So you're making changes to your campaigns on your computer. And basically when you're done making changes, you can always upload them to Google Ads. to the account on Google Ads in the cloud, so to speak. So that's the whole idea behind Google Ads Editor. It's a great tool for you to use if you want to make household changes really quick. For example, I'm looking at an account with a bunch of campaigns. So now if I click on one of those campaigns, I could see the ad groups here. Okay, so for example, if I just wanted to turn off all these ad groups, I can just highlight them all and just click status enabled to paused, and I can revert back if I want to. Okay, so you can make household changes. So here I could see the campaign, the ad group level. If I choose an ad group, then I can see some keywords, and again, I can make changes ad nauseum. Here I can copy, I can paste, I can delete. Okay, so I can make a lot of changes really quick right in Google Ads Editor, and that's the whole point of Editor, is to go ahead and work locally while somebody else is working locally on the same account. You could both be working simultaneously and being more efficient on getting things done in the campaign. Now, if you are working with somebody else on the campaign, you want to make sure that you get recent changes. So if I say get recent changes to all campaigns, what Google Editor is going to do is contact Google Ads in the cloud and download all those changes. So here I can see the changes being downloaded in Editor from Google Ads. And when it's done, it's going to highlight all the changes that have been made. And so once I'm done reviewing those changes, I can go ahead and click done. And now I know I have the recent latest changes in Editor. So now I can go ahead and continue to make some changes. And when I'm done making changes, I can go ahead and post them. So that's the beauty of Google Ads Editor. Bing has a version, Facebook has a version. It allows you to, again, go at the keyword level, the ad group level. Okay, you can look at ads itself and make changes to the ads. Okay, you could do a lot of different things right in Editor. In fact, you could do pretty much most of what you could do in Google Ads, you can do in Google Ads Editor. And so that's Google Ads Editor. To me, I would recommend it if you're experienced with Google Ads. Again, it's software. You have to download it. You're going to use it on your computer as software. But when you make changes, all you need to do is post those changes or get recent changes that have been made on Google Ads. And so that's Google Editor, Ads Editor in summary. Now let's go back into Google Ads and talk about display advertising, because display is a different network, but the platform's still the same. And some of the same tools are available from the search network as well as for the display network right in Google Ads. So if I want to take a look at a campaign and ad group on the display network, I can just click on that ad group and I can look at the ads that are running for that particular ad group on the display network. So here, the difference being on the display network is you can use image ads. On the search network, you can only use text ads. So here I can look at image ads and I can see how they're performing. In fact, you could even go a step further and use responsive display ads. So Google has responsive display ads, meaning it's going to respond to what's performing best. Okay, and so now I can see clicks, impressions, click-through rate, etc. right on my ads and extensions report in Google Ads platform. Now, this happens to be a retargeting campaign. So if we click on audiences, we'll be able to see what audiences we're targeting here. Okay, so when this report loads, when you run retargeting campaigns, you're targeting a specific audience. And so we want to be able to see, okay, of the audiences we have set up, what audience is performing best. Okay, so here I can see a breakout by audience. Again, I can see the same metrics I could see on the search side. I can see clicks, impressions, click-through rate. More importantly, I want to be able to measure conversions. Okay, so that's the whole idea when you're in these platforms and you're paying for ads, is you want to be able to measure against conversions, and you can also measure against cost per conversion, conversion rate. Okay, so those are some key metrics to measure up against, whether it's audience, keyword, ad, whatever the dimension is. So here on the display network, we can get a sense of demographics. Okay, so unlike the search network, the display network allows us to see demographic data. And so now I could see an age breakout or an age range breakout that Google provides us. And I could see, again, based on the age range breakout, which age range has the most clicks, impressions, etc., including conversions. So you also have the opportunity on the display network to add keywords, you have the opportunity to add topics, and you have the opportunity to see placements or run placements. So here, if I click on where ads have shown, I can actually see where my ads have shown up for this display campaign. And Google Ads allows you the ability to go ahead and you can exclude it from the ad group or exclude a specific placement from a campaign. So you could take action on a specific placement. And I can see the type of placement, whether it's a mobile app, whether it's a site. I can go ahead and see exactly where that placement was. So that's the placements report. You have demographics, you have audiences, you have keywords, you have all these different reports available to you on the Google Ads platform. So before we jump over to social media, paid search advertising, I just want to remind you, we do have, a nice tutorial on Google Ads. Okay, so take a look at the Google Ads tutorial we have set up on YouTube. Okay, if you search for Google Ads tutorial 2019, this is a good tutorial on everything related to Google Ads. So check out this video because in today's webinar, we're just mentioning tools across the board. And if you are advertising on Google Ads, as most people do, then you could see just how powerful it is and all the different features that are available. So take a look at the video. It's a nice complementary video to this one, this digital marketing tools, and this will give you a nice and deeper insight into everything that's available on Google Ads. And if you have any tools or features on Google Ads, whether it's the search network or whether that's the display network, then feel free to comment below this video. Happy to hear your comments about what tools and reports and features you specifically use in Google Ads. So let's move into Facebook Ads Manager and show you how the platform looks when you're running ads on Facebook. So we can look at all the different tools and reports available here. So here we could see, if we're in the Facebook Ads Manager, we could see our campaigns, we could see our ad sets, and we can see our ads. So just like on Google Ads, you have left side navigation so we can drill down. So if we want to see ad sets, for example, we could just click on ad sets that are showing up in this particular account. And here we can see we have 2 ad sets that are live. So if I click on one of these ad sets, I'll be able to see an actual ad that's running here. And so for the actual ad that's running, I can then see the results of that ad and how it's performing. For example, how many clicks it's received, what the reach is, what the impressions are. So impressions similar to Google Ads, how many people are actually looking at the ad. And then I can see the cost per click here at $1 as an example. And so now I can go in and I can go ahead and look at the ad performance and go ahead and change out that ad if it's not performing to my expectation. So if I click on more tools and then creatives, I can just simply click on creatives and then I can actually see the creatives I actually have running for that campaign I selected. So now I can see all the creatives that are running and I can see the results of those creatives. So Facebook Ads Manager also has different reporting. So if I click on the reports pull down menu, you can see here, I can see some standard reports by ad set, age and gender. And then I can see all reports here listed out by placement and device, time of day, country, etc. So if we just look at age and gender, we'll be able to get a breakout age and gender here. So you can see by campaign, I'm looking at all campaigns here and I'm looking at just age and gender. I can certainly deselect one of these and I can look at a specific time range. So now I could see who's looking at my ad specifically. So here I could see 35 to 44 female. I could see the reach, impressions, and how often they're actually seeing my ad. Now this is key for Facebook because if somebody's seeing your ad a lot, they're probably going to tune out to it. So that's what makes the frequency metric so important on Facebook, because then we can go ahead and turn off that particular age and gender if we needed to. And we could see how much we spent. So this just gives you some idea of the type of reporting that's available in Facebook Ads Manager. Now, the great thing about Facebook reporting in Ads Manager is, I can group or ungroup my dimensions if I needed to. I could change the view and arrange columns. I can get rid of columns just as you would in Google Ads reporting. Very similar stature here. So I have a lot of flexibility here on how I review the reports. You got different metrics that you can pick and choose as well. Okay, and you got lots of different flexibility when you're looking at the reports on how your campaigns are performing. Now here I can pick and choose. I can choose campaign, ad set, ads, objective. Again, I can choose different demographics. So I have a lot of options available to me in terms of how I want to, view the performance of my campaign, view the performance of my ad set or my ad. Now remember, if you're in Facebook, you can always go in and edit the campaign. You can edit the ad set. Remember, in the ad set, that's where a lot of your decisions are going to be made, including how you want to drive the traffic, okay, what your budget is. Okay, you can basically choose your audience here. So you're going to be able to choose what type of campaign it's going to be. And based on that campaign, you're going to go ahead and choose the kind of audience you want to focus in on. You're going to be able to choose the location, the age range, the gender. So all of this is going to be set up in the ad set or the campaign or the ad. If you go ahead and edit an ad, remember you can do A/B testing as well. So you have a lot of different options and features available to you right in Ads Manager when you're managing your paid search campaigns on Facebook.